welcome to Anima Anatomia. Today we will discuss one of the most important bone of the neurocranium. That's the sphenoid bone. So sphenoid bone, we know that it's a butterfly shaped bone and it's an unpaired bone and it serves as a keystone bone. Keystone bone because it joins with almost every other bone of the skull. So that's why it's known as a keystone bone. Now we will see the anatomical structure of the sphenoid bone. Consists of three structures: body, wings. Wings are two, the greater and the lesser, and the trigoid process, which are two, the medial and the lateral one. So starting with the body of the sphenoid bone. So the body of the sphenoid bone, it lies at the center of the sphenoid bone, and it consists at the superior surface. There is a one bony landmark which known as the sella turcica, which is a saddle-like structure, and it consists of three parts: tuberculum cellae, hypoglossal fossa, and the dorsum cellae. And also at the superior surface, the chiasmatic groove is also present. And this chiasmatic groove is formed by the sulcus of the optic chiasma, and here the optic nerve is partially passed. And also the sella turcica is surrounded by the clinoid process, which is the anterior one and the posterior one. So now we will talk about the second structure of the sphenoid bone, that is the wings. So we know the wings are two, the greater wings and the lesser wings. So this is the greater wings, these two, and these are the lesser wings. So starting with the greater wings. So the greater wings extends, this greater wings extends laterally, posteriorly, and the superiorly. And when we talk about the greater wings, so this greater wings consists three hole structure. This 1, 2, 3 hole. So the first hole, which is the foramen rotundum, the second one is the foramen ovale, and the third one is the foramen spinosum. So from the foramen rotundum, the second branch of trigeminal nerve, that is the maxillary nerve, is passes. The second one, the foramen ovale. From the foramen ovale, the third branch of the trigeminal nerve, that is the mandibular nerve, is passed. And also from the foramen spinosum, the third branch of the trigeminal nerve, that is the mandibular nerve, is passed, and also the medial meningeal artery or the medial meningeal veins is also passes. So this is about the greater wings. Now we will talk about the lesser wings. So this is the lesser wings. So the lesser wings is extend anteriorly to the head of the sphenoid bone, and this lesser wings form the lateral border of the optic canal. This is the lateral border of the optic canal, and from the optic canal the optic nerve is passed and goes to the eyes. And also we will see that the greater wings and the lesser wings, between the greater and the lesser wings a space is present, that's known as the superior orbital fissure. Now we will talk about the third structure of the sphenoid bone, that is the trigoid process. So we know the trigoid process is just present at the inferior to the junction of the greater wing and the sphenoid body. So the trigoid plates are the two, the medial one and the lateral one. So the medial one is for supporting the opening of the nasal cavity, this medial one. And the lateral one is for the site of origin of lateral trigoid muscle. So now we will talk about the occipital bone. So the occipital bone is a flat, unpaired bone, and it is present at the posterior side, this one. And this occipital bone, it protects the cerebrum, the occipital lobe of cerebrum, and also the cerebellum. And when we talk about its parts, so it consists three parts. The posterior side, that is the squamous part, which is the largest portion, and the middle, that is the condylar part, and this condylar part form the lateral wall of foramen magnum. And the last one, the third part, this is the basilar part. Now we will talk about the internal structure of the occipital bone. So starting with the squamous part. So the squamous part, we will see the two sinus. At the sagittal area, we will see the first sinus, which is the groove of the superior sagittal sinus. And at the transverse side, we will also see the groove of transverse sinus. And also at the squamous area, squamous part, we will see one protuberance like structure is present, which is known as the internal occipital protuberance. So this is about the squamous part. Now we will talk about the condylar part. So the condylar part, we will see at the lateral side of it, the jugular notch is present, and the foramen magna of it lateral side, the hypoglossal canal is present. And from the hypoglossal canal, the 12th cranial nerve, that is the hypoglossal nerve, is passed from here. And the last one, the third structure, that is the clavius, which is a ridges-like structure. And this clavius is held for supporting the medulla oblongata.
Right. So now we will see the frontal bone. So the frontal bone is an unpaired bone of the neurocranium, and it is present at the anterior medial aspect of the skull, and it is from the forehead. And after that we will see the anatomy. So anatomically it consists of the four parts. First part is the squamous part, which is the largest part of the frontal bone. Then it consists of two parts of orbital parts, which is the triangular flat plates, and the last one is a nasal part, which is projected inferiorly.
Right.
Now we will see the diagram of the frontal bone, in which we can identify the various landmarks of the frontal bone. As I previously mentioned that the frontal bone are divided into four parts: squamous part, two orbital part, and one nasal part. Now we will see the external structure of the forehead, in which various landmarks are present. So above the orbital cavity we have the supraorbital margin. Then after the supraorbital margin, a foramen is present, known as the supraorbital foramen, is give the passage of the sensory innervation of the forehead. After that, when we move upward in the frontal bone, the bone is become thick and form the bony prominence. So the two bony prominence known as the supraciliary arch and the frontal eminence. So the supraciliary arch are divided by a slight depression known as the glabella, and frontal eminence, which are provide the thickening of the bone.
Right.
So now we will see the bony landmark of the internal structure of the forehead. So in the internal structure of the forehead, one midline groove descend down, and it will be terminated as a crest known as the frontal crest. And this sulcus or groove is known as the sagittal sulcus. In between the sagittal sulcus or the frontal crest, we have the sinuses are present, known as the frontal sinuses. After that, we will move into the second part of the frontal bone, known as the orbit part of the frontal bone. So it is a triangular in shape, which can formed by the posterior extension of the frontal bone, and it will be provide two things. First, below it will provide the roof of the orbit cavity, and above it provide the floor of the anterior cranial fossa. Then after that, the last one is a nasal part of the frontal bone, which can give the site of attachment of two bones, nasal bone and the frontal process of the maxilla. So now we will see the ethmoid bone. Ethmoid bone is a unpaired bone of the neurocranium, which can present at the midline of the anterior cranial fossa, and it is located between the two orbital cavities. After that, we will see the anatomy of the ethmoid bone. So the anatomically ethmoid bone are consist of the four parts. First is a crista galli, then second part is known as the cribriform plate, third part known as the perpendicular plate, then fourth part is a consist of we say labyrinth. It consists of two labyrinth. Now we will see the bony landmark of the ethmoid bone. So the ethmoid bone is consist of the one vertical plate and one horizontal plate. So the vertical plate are subdivided into two parts. First is known as the crista galli, which is the triangular crest, which can present above the cribriform plate and which can give the site of attachment of the flex cerebri. Then second part is known as the perpendicular plate, which is the quadrilateral in shape and which can responsible for the formation of the nasal septum of upper nasal cavity. Then after that we will see the horizontal plate, or also known as the cribriform plate, which consists of the various pores in which the olfactory nerve fibers are transmitted from the nasal epithelium to the olfactory bulb and help in olfaction. And after that we will see the bony labyrinths are present, which are consist of the ethmoidal sinuses. According to their location, they are divided into three types: anterior ethmoidal sinuses, middle ethmoidal sinuses, and posterior ethmoidal sinuses. After that we will see it also consists of the two structures known as the superior nasal concha and inferior nasal concha, which can help to humidify the inspirers. So now we will see the articulation of the ethmoid bone into their surrounded bones. So first we will see the articulation of the perpendicular plate. So the perpendicular plate anterior-inferiorly it articulate with the septal cartilage. Then posterior-inferiorly it will articulate with the humor bones. Then anteriorly it will articulate with the two bones. First is a nasal bone, then second one is a frontal bone. Then posteriorly it will be articulate with the sphenoid bone. After that we will see the articulation of the cribriform plate. It will be laterally, it will be articulate with the orbital plates. Then after that we will see the articulation of the labyrinth. So labyrinth are superiorly or above it will be articulate with the frontal bone, posteriorly it will be articulate with the sphenoid bone, and laterally it will be articulate with the maxillary bones.
So thank you for watching our video. Please like and subscribe our channel.